Okay, it's time to get started. We're going to start with the building blocks and technique, and I'm going to explain what is technique and why does it matter? Why do we need to learn how to have good technique? Okay, so before we get into what technique is and why it's important, I need to let you know this is actually something I've considered one of my weak points as a teacher and as a musician. And I am excited to do these videos because it's given me an opportunity to do a lot of research and to learn from people that this is their strength and this is what they are experts in. And I want to share with you who those experts are that I will be drawing information from. So there are 3 experts that I will be drawing information from. The first one is Josh Wright. He studied with someone named Sergei Babayan. He teaches at the University of Utah, and he has a YouTube channel and a technique course. I will link his channel in the description. I purchased his course, and that's where some of the information that I will be sharing you is coming from, is that course. I'm going to share with you a little bit, a clip of each of these people so you can see that technique and what kind of musician they are, and then it'll help you understand where they're coming from. So this is Josh Wright. If we could all play that beautifully, how amazing would that be? Well, he teaches you what you need to know to be able to play like him. And his teacher, Sergei Babayan, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, here's a little excerpt from him performing. There's some examples of Josh Wright and his teacher. So you are learning from the best when I share the information that he shares in his course. The second expert that I will be referring to is Garner. And he created the software called Piano Marble. He's the CEO of Piano Marble. And he will be providing some tutorials of how to do some of the scales, chords, arpeggios, as well as, of course, the software that we'll be using as we learn those as well. So I will share a little clip of Aaron. Amazing what he can do with an old broken down piano. The third expert that I am referring to is Marian Lee, and she studied with, I'm going to call him George Sander at Juilliard, and George studied with Bela Bartok, which is a well-known composer. And I will share a little excerpt of Marian. So these are the experts that I will be sharing what I have learned from them. And I will include any links of videos that I have learned from them in the description as well. So, on to what is piano technique? Well, surprisingly, there's not a really clear definition of what technique is. People have different definitions. I'm going to share with you what my philosophy of what technique is and what kind of aligns with some of these experts that I've studied as well. And that is, technique is essentially how you use your body to create sound. So the ability to make something sound really musical, really expressive, really beautifully played, that requires technique. It requires how you use your body. And the other thing that technique is often referred to is the building blocks of music, which is scales, chords, and arpeggios. And you move into patterns after that and form, and we'll get into a little bit more of that as well. But all of that to me falls within the realm of technique as well. Some also include ear training. We will be having a focus in that in next month, not this month, but that is what technique is. And I am going to share a little excerpt between something that is played technically well and something that doesn't have a lot of technique being shown in it. And the first excerpt, they are playing the right notes, they are playing the right rhythms. It's just missing the technical components. So let's listen to this.
Do you love Gantt charts? Here's how easily you can build one in ClickUp.
Play as bad piano playing of Beethoven's Vieux Release, which is just getting all the notes. Now, what's the problem with that? Of course, it was mechanical, uneven, and also unexpressive. Well, it sounds more like a robot that's out of order that's playing it. So perhaps, how can we add some humanizing aspects to touch the hearts of our audience? Maybe we can try this.
So hopefully from those two examples, you could hear the difference between something that was played with using really good technique versus something that was just notes and rhythms. There is a big difference in what the music sounds like when you play with really good technique. I'm going to talk about some of the basic movements in technique. So our bodies move in different ways. We have different joints and hinges, as I call them, and they all come into play. Sometimes if you think about playing the piano, people just think about the fingers. They think you only use your fingers when you're playing the piano. Not so. You have the movement of your fingers up and down, and your thumb has its up and down motion that is more of a side up and down because it's an opposing thumb. You have your hand that can move up and down, hinging at the wrist. You have your arm that can move up and down, hinging at your elbow. And you have your whole arm that moves up and down, hinging at your shoulders. And you can actually have your entire body move to get sound out of the piano. You also have side-to-side motion in your wrist. You have side-to-side motion in your arms. And if you employ your shoulders, you can move even further, side-to-side motion. You also have rotation in your wrist, kind of like you're turning a door handle. And then another thing that you want to think about is that if you are going to the extreme ends of the piano, you can stabilize yourself by spreading your legs like you're riding a horse or something like that. And then when you're leaning towards one side, some of your weight is able to transfer to that side instead of having to scoot on the bench everywhere you need to go. You can just spread your legs and it will balance you in that way. Another thing that Marian Lee talks about that she had learned is that you align your hand with whatever finger is playing. So if your thumb is playing, you'll be more aligned in this direction. If your pinky's playing, you'll be more aligned in this direction. It kind of transfers. So if you're going to say play a 5-finger pattern, if you'll notice the wrist, and I'll show her video, it's really cool how she shows this. The wrist moves quite a bit from just that small motion. And also, if you notice how the wrist moves up, and if you're playing with your thumb, it's naturally down because your thumb lays lower, and as you move towards your pinky, your wrist will move up. Your wrist also moves up and down based on phrasing, which we will get into at a later time. Also, when you're doing scales that require a thumb under or a thumb over, you're going to raise your hand so your thumb can move under. And then just shift your hand. It's much easier when you're going over your thumb than when your thumb's going under. Just shift your hand over. So those are some of the basic movements that you will be using as you do scales, which we will be discussing in just a minute. That's what you'll be working on this week, is the C major scale, or the key signature of 0 sharps and flats. So your hands, if you look at them, your thumb and pinky are shorter. And so there are accommodations that happen when you're playing so that they can reach the keys. And sometimes you move further into the key bed toward the fall board, or you can play more just on the white part. It just depends on whether you have to play black keys or not, as far as where your fingers will land. So those are the basic movements needed for playing scales and in general for playing the piano. We're going to talk, I will share a video about learning the names of the white keys on the piano, so you know the white key names and how to find them. But essentially, each key signature has its own alphabet. It's like its own language. It has a pattern that is just for that key signature. So for the month of January, we're going to be focusing on a key signature that I will show you the notes that are in that key signature. The notes are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's 7 notes in each key signature. And you'll notice these are all in the white keys, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The key is what note you're going to start on. So the key of C, you start on C. This is called the home key, the root key. This pitch here is the name of the key and the home for that key. So in the key of C major, you start on C. Anywhere on the piano, you start on C. That's the first note. And each note in this scale has a number. So the first note is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you bring it back to the next C, there's 8. Bringing it back to the home key. So you will be working on your C major scale, but also you have A minor, and it's called a relative minor. And what that means is it has the exact same key signature as the relative major. It just starts on a different note. So the relative minor for C major is A minor. So you will start on A instead of C. So A will be 1. You'll notice all white keys. I am going to make one change though, because there are actually 3 variations of the minor pattern. And the one I just played is called the natural minor, but more often it's the harmonic minor that is used. And so the difference will be on the 7th note. Instead of playing that 7th note, you're going to play it raised up to this black note. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to home. Now, So there's going to be some tutorial videos to teach you how to do this thumb under, where that happens. It's very important to keep the fingering correct. So you don't want to be doing different kinds of fingering, because then when you try to get a faster speed, you'll be jumbling all over the place, and it's good to get those fingerings correct from the get-go. So practice carefully when you do your scales. Okay, so for this week, we are going to go to Piano Marble, and if you don't have Piano Marble, I'm going to share a link. You can get a free, you can get it for free. If you want to upgrade to premium to have access to everything within the software, of course you can do that. You can use my affiliate link. I have a code. If you want to do that, it'll give you a discount, but you can also use it for free. And I'm going to show you the resource that we're going to be using to learn our scales. So this is what the dashboard, or kind of the home page, looks like. And if you go to the library, I'm just going to put Scale Ninja in the search here. And you see there's a beginner, intermediate, advanced, and pro. Beginner is 1 octave, meaning just those 8 notes. Intermediate goes 2 octaves, so same for advanced, it's just the tempo is a little faster in advanced. And then pro goes 4 octaves. So it doesn't matter which one you do, it's up to you what you feel like you'd be able to do. But if you're able to get the beginner level down, go ahead and move on to the intermediate. So I'm going to show you. You go in, here's the major scales, go to C major, and this is the important part. There's a video here, and I'll put the link for this video in the description as well. But click on this, watch the tutorial. He teaches you how to play this scale, and be very careful about the fingering, as I was saying before. And then when you are ready, you hit this little practice here. Report that will pop up and tell you if you got all the notes right, you're going to get 100. It's not going to tell you whether you're doing the right fingering, so you've got to pay attention to that on your own. It will tell you how fast you did it. So the goal was 6 seconds, and I got 6.043. So I barely made it in time to get my Ninja card. And the Ninja card just means if you click on that, it will show you, based on your score, you can get a belt just like you would in martial arts. So, let's see here. So Ninja meant you got 100%, black belt you got 96%, brown belt 90%. So you can kind of go up from white belt to Ninja, and it's just based on speed. And you'll see where you rank in the world of all the people who use Piano Marble to learn their scales, and this is just the C major scale, so I rank 430. So there are people who do it much faster than me. The fastest person, let's see here, 0.003 seconds to do that scale. That's really fast. I don't want you to focus on speed at first. I have an exercise for you to do to get really good at your scale. You will watch Aaron's instructional video, which I'm linking, and which you can find in the exercise in Piano Marble. But you also, I'm going to have you do high fingers, which means you play a note, then raise your fingers up high, and then play another note. Whoops, raise your fingers up high. Play another note, raise your fingers up high, play another note, up high. And do this whether you're doing 1 octave, 2, 4, do this all the way up and all the way down. And this does a few things. One thing, it creates active fingers. Josh Wright was explaining the importance of these active fingers. Another thing it does that I've noticed is it's kind of like a reset. Every time you play a note, you have to think, okay, what finger do I put on the next note? Because it's not there anymore. You just lifted them all up, and you have to think, okay, is this where a crossover is or a cross under is? And you really have to think that way. And then when you play your actual scale, it's much easier at that point after you have taken that time to do your high fingers. So that is your assignment for this week, high fingers and completing the C major scale. And you can move from beginner to advanced, to intermediate to advanced, and if you can move into professional, even when you're in professional, starting at a white belt and slowly making your way up is a good way to go, because that one is very, very hard. So to round it off, the last thing I want to kind of bring it all home, the reason technique is important is because you can take music from just mechanical note playing to beautiful, expressive experience. And then the other reason to really focus on technique is because when you, first of all, it's the building blocks of creation of music. So when you understand what parts and pieces make music, and then we'll teach you how to put them together to create music, that is the other part, is the parts, the building blocks that you can use to create with. And something I didn't mention also is when you get into higher level music that requires strength and speed, technique really comes into play. That's where I'm at right now, where I need to develop better technique so I can move to the next level, because it's something that I need in order to play some of the pieces that I'm working on right now. So those are some of the reasons why technique is important. We will be working on technique throughout the year. Each month we'll focus on a new key signature with its major and its relative minor, and some new techniques that will help you to get them down really well and have a solid foundation with your technique. Thank you for watching this video today, and good luck on your assignment, and we will see you next week.